everyone, welcome to the Camino Cafe Podcast. Well, today I'm trying something new, and you see, look who's behind me, Kelli Field. Kelli, welcome to Santiago.
Thanks.
So, Kelli and I, we've walked around Santiago a lot together, and we're starting a new segment called Two Pilgrims Walking. And that's what we're doing. We're just two pilgrims walking around Santiago. Because that's what we do best as pilgrims, right? Is we walk and we talk.
Yeah.
It was back during COVID, I think, when we did our first interview.
It was.
And now we're back because we have so much to talk about. And the first thing we're going to talk about is our new book club. So,
Johnny Walker Santiago sent me a couple of books, and they were awesome. A few to sort of spark my interest in local expat writers in Spain. And I sent him a message and said, we should have a book club. And that's really how it started. And then I realized we should have a Camino book club.
yeah.
So, yeah.
It's hard to believe that there wasn't an international Camino book club, because as soon as you told me about it, I thought, why didn't I think of this?
Well,
why are we not doing it?
You were the second person I messaged and said, oh my gosh, Lee, we should do this. And you were all in. Yes. So thank you so much for all of that. And it really, yes, it was an idea that came to me, but it's really been a group effort with Lee and so I think it was just a perfect synchronicity.
Yeah, it really has been. It's been so much fun. We've held 2 meetings so far, and it just so happens that this gal next to me, she's our featured book next month. So we'll talk more about that in a moment. But we're standing in Santiago, I should have mentioned. We are on site, and right now we've been doing a little flower shopping. You can kind of see there behind me. And it is a gorgeous day here in Santiago. Yeah, so the book club, we've had 2 meetings. We've had people from all around the world come.
Yeah, from 23 time zones.
Yeah, so wow, it's been so much fun. And we had Carrie the first month, and then we had Rebecca. Yeah. And yeah, so our next meeting will be October
14th.
14th. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. See, she's the main organizer. She does the newsletter. So October 14th, we'll be talking about Kelli's book.
Yeah.
And we'll talk more about Kelli's book coming up. Stay tuned. All right, so Kelli and I are just walking down one of the most beautiful streets of Santiago, and we thought we'd talk a little bit about her book. So Grief of Goodby. It's a fantastic book, Kelli. Absolutely adored the book. So give us just a little synopsis of what it's about.
Sure. It's about Tess. She's an executive, and she gets a terminal diagnosis. And she, at the exact same time, she learns that her daughter is, kind of spiraling into self-destruction with drugs and alcohol. And so she makes a really heartbreaking decision to delay her cancer treatment and bring her daughter to Spain and to walk the Camino de Santiago in an effort to kind of change the course of her daughter's life, and also to try to get closer to her. So it's a tearjerker for sure. Yeah. If you want a story that'll make you cry, yes. You can.
Oh, all the emotions came up as I was reading it. And the thing I kept thinking, it is a contemporary fiction book, but it's set on the Camino as a backdrop. Mm-hmm. And, I could see myself in some of the characters. I could see some of the pilgrims that I've walked with over the years in some of these characters. So I think there's so much that's relatable that your characters face. And I just wondered, how did you come up with this idea?
Well, I think all of us who have walked meet people along the way. Of course, there's people have said, "Oh my gosh, Tess is you," and I brought a lot of her. Obviously, you write what you know, but she's definitely not me. I met a lot of people along the way who were either struggling from a serious illness. I met people with teenagers. I brought my teenager on the Camino, and I think that it's a story that for me, I really needed to explore generational family trauma, how families deal with grief and loss. And then I liked the sort of cultural side of it.
Yes.
The different cultures and how they each deal with grief and loss, and how different it is, and also how it's just part of the human condition, and in many ways it's the same.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, I absolutely love that you've been getting such great feedback about the book, and how exciting it is that there you are right on the Camino path where you and Jeff live, which we'll talk more about in a moment. But you've literally been having people come to your doorstep that know you live there because of your great blog and the Happiness Cafe food truck. and they are asking to buy your book right then and there on CEST.
Yes.
What does that feel like? I mean, you've gone from handing out stamps and serving people food, and now they're coming and saying, hey, can I buy your book? Like that.
Yeah, it's been interesting because it's been sort of a gear shift.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm historically my job has been to help other people and to facilitate their Caminos, and now to be a part of other people's Caminos via my book.
Yes.
And I think as well, it's, you always hope as a writer to inspire people and to make them feel. And I've had people, come up who've read the book and, been pretty tearful about it.
Yeah.
So it warms my heart to know that folks are reading this story and that it's making a difference to people and resonating.
So Kelli, one of the things I really loved about your book is that it's not your typical Camino book, right? It's not a memoir of, hey, we started in Saint Jean and then we arrived in Logroño and then we da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, right?
Yeah.
And so I think you really captured a story of many things that actually happen on the Camino. Mm-hmm. So can you speak to that a little bit?
Well, I think that there's a whole host of folks that find love on the Camino, even when they're not looking for it. And also healing. Yeah. And I think that those are big themes in this story. It's not just about grief and loss. It's about healing, and it's really about love and the different forms that love takes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you think how many people do walk because of some type of grief, some type of loss, whether it's a job loss, a loss due to health, or end of a marriage. And so I think many pilgrims will really relate to the universal stories that are in this book and find some surprises and some, things that maybe they didn't expect. So, yay. So, hey, if you want to learn more about the book, buy it, right? But two, come to our book club, October 14th?
Yes, absolutely.
October 14th. Look, I remembered.
Yeah.
I'll be there.
Yeah, great.
We were just talking about our new book club, the Santiago de Compostela Bookclub, and it is an international book club made up of pilgrims from all around the world. I think, what was the last count of how many countries?
I think it was 40 countries.
40 countries.
Yes.
So
for membership.
Yeah. So if you want to join, what do they need to do? If they want to come to the meeting when we're discussing our next book in October, what do they need to do?
They can join, they can like the Facebook page. We have a Facebook page, the Santiago de Compostela Bookclub Facebook page. And then also there's a group. And if you join the group and subscribe to the newsletter, every month you'll get, about 2 weeks before the meeting, you'll get the newsletter with the links, all about the book, all about the author, and interesting bookish, content that goes into more about new Camino books, what Camino writers and authors are doing, and also the list of our previous reads. So
excellent.
Yeah.
Okay, let's walk a little bit forward. I was just going to say, did you ever think that you were going to become a Camino book writer when you were first a pilgrim? What was your first year you walked?
I walked in 2017.
Okay.
Even when I was walking, I was writing this book in my head when I was walking.
Yeah.
And I came home and furiously wrote down everything that I had been thinking about over a month and a half. Yeah, I did. It took about 8 weeks.
Wow.
And then I was sort of, what do you do with it then?
Yeah.
So it's taken some time, obviously, to publish it and to get it ready for everyone to read. But I'm super excited to have this story out in the world and to have folks reading it and hearing what they think about it. How each, like as Lee alluded to earlier, how does the story land? How do the characters land? How did it make you feel? That's what I'm most interested in.
Yeah, I think that's going to be so exciting at the book club to kind of see what everybody's thinking. So
yeah.
So now, Kelli, you and your husband Jeff, you live literally on the Camino Francés, and give everybody the Camino marker number.
59.
59. So 59, you live on mile marker 59 on the most popular route.
Yes.
The most walked route of all of our Caminos. What does it feel like right now coming into Santiago versus actually being out on the route? You're coming here and you're seeing pilgrims that have finished walking today.
Yeah.
What do you feel? Do you, each time you come here, we visit a lot, you come into Santiago all the time.
Yeah.
Do you still feel something when you come and you see the cathedral behind us?
Mm-hmm. I do. I would say, there's an energy in Santiago that you don't find anywhere else.
Yeah.
And there's also that, you walk into the square in front of the cathedral and you see pilgrims walking in, and you see the look on their face and you remember how you felt, especially that first time how you felt. But I still cry every time I do it when I walk in from the Camino.
Do you really?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Okay, well, we're going to walk over there right now. We'll see how she feels. Okay, Kelly. Well, we are pretty far from the 59th kilometer by your house right now.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, for those pilgrims that have walked here, we're on the Camino Francés, and we're on those last few steps. So Kelly and I are going to take the last few steps, and I think we're going to have lots of pilgrims behind us. We have pilgrims in front of us. Kelly, probably some of these folks you saw a few days ago.
Yeah, they were probably walking by our house.
Yeah.
Right outside the gate, we have, anywhere between 1,500 and 3,000 pilgrims who walk by, depending on the day of the week.
And a day?
Yeah, in a day. In a day, yeah.
Wow, what does that feel like?
I always say that the Camino is a river of positivity.
Yeah.
And yes, you see people walking by that are potentially in pain, they're struggling, and all of that. But we have a bench outside our gate, and folks sit down and rest there. And it's just wonderful to see their faces and to say hello and to interact with pilgrims as they're going through transformation.
Yeah, no kidding. And they're on the home stretch, and they're coming by your house. So I imagine they're pretty excited. I mean, I remember when I walked near your house, I couldn't wait to get here.
Yeah.
So the last time we did something for the podcast, I think it was, last spring we came out. And lots of stuff has changed since the last time we were out at the Lavender Farm.
Yes.
So give us an update. What are you and Jeff up to right now?
So right now we are preparing for walking season in 2024.
Yep.
Beginning in March. So the food truck will now be a stationary building.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, but I do love that food truck.
It'll be inside of it.
Okay.
And a new pilgrim laundry room is going in. Some bathrooms are going in.
Yeah.
And then we'll be breaking ground on 3 of the cabins that we're building so that pilgrims can come and stay out in the lavender.
Wow.
So that's the idea. Yeah. We wanted this peaceful sort of haven for folks to just rest and relax and eat food, more farm to table type food. So we had housed pilgrims in tents during COVID when the albergues were closed. We had, we noticed that pilgrims were sleeping on the street, and we were concerned about them. Obviously, we know what that feels like to not be able to find a bed, and so we got a bunch of tents from Decathlon and Lugo and pitched them in the yard, and people came that summer of 2021, and it was a fantastic summer. And so that really, I cooked and fed folks for free, and that's how the food truck was born.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes, that's how the food truck was born. But we really originally had thought, well, we'll allow people to camp, because camping is so, such a scarce commodity on the Camino.
Yeah.
And what we ended up doing is we ended up saying, okay, so we'll allow people to camp, but we'll also build some cabins as well.
Nice.
I mean, Goodby is very rainy. Yes. Yeah, not everybody wants to be in a tent. So.
Tell us a little bit about what your dream is as far, I know you've already planned, you know exactly what the casitas are going to look like. So maybe just give everyone an idea of what your dream includes right now.
Sure. So, we want to have 8 casitas, small casitas, stone casitas, and we want to serve allergen-friendly, gluten-free, vegetarian food that people really love to eat. I know a lot of people look at vegetarian food and they're like, oh, but just really interesting menu options that you can't find elsewhere on the Camino.
Oh, that's right. I mean, by the time, especially if you've started pretty far down the road, saying Saint Jean or maybe Leon, you're hungry for vegetables.
Yes, yes.
You're tired, I'm sorry, but you're a little tired of the pilgrim salad.
Yes.
You know what you're getting. And I think when people get to your food truck, I mean, you're already well known for that. and Kelli, you've had your blog that you've been writing since the very first, right about the time you and Jeff arrived in Valencia, or
Actually before, when I got home from the Camino and I told Jeff, I think we should move to Spain. I started the blog right about then.
Okay.
Sort of just chronicling what were we thinking, what were we doing. We had no idea what we were doing. And how, it was 6 months later, 6 months of blog posts before we landed in Valencia.
Wow.
Yeah.
So looking back at yourself, if you were to go back and talk to the gal that walked that first Camino, did you ever imagine you'd be living in Spain because of this Camino that you went on?
No.
Yeah.
It's interesting. You asked me earlier about how you feel, how does it feel to be in Santiago? And I will say that, every time I come here, I have that same feeling I had the first time I walked in. And it was that feeling of being connected to this place, this country. And I never lost that.
Wow.
So when you ask about, did I ever think I would be living here? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think it feels so natural to be living here. But I have to pinch myself every day.
Same. So what would you tell yourself, because it's a big move to, leave the country that you were born in and to make a decision to come and walk in a country because you like the pilgrim path, that you like being a pilgrim, and all of a sudden you've got to tell friends and family, I'm taking off and I'm moving across the globe to this place. What would you tell that girl who probably, I would imagine did you have some fear?
I think I wasn't smart enough to have some fear. I mean, they say ignorance is bliss.
Yeah.
My husband and I have talked about it since then many times, and we've always said if we had known all the hurdles and all the setbacks and all the trials and tribulations, maybe we wouldn't have done it. So it's better that you don't know.
Yeah.
It was better not to read all the blogs and all the books and all of that. And I'm saying this from a person who's written a blog that lists all of those things. But you got to experience them on your own.
Yeah, you're right. Because I think it seems like we are in a situation online that you basically could almost walk the Camino virtually.
Yes.
There are so many books about from point to point to point.
Yeah.
But nothing can replace actually walking. Mm-hmm. And it seems to me that no matter how many tips I have, it's always something different that challenges me. What would you say has been your biggest challenge walking the Camino?
Oh, the biggest challenge. I think certainly the first time was not the attempt, because I got here and I didn't really know enough to be afraid.
Right.
I think the biggest challenge that first time was, I think it was kind of getting past myself and allowing myself to really feel the difficult things.
What do you mean?
Well, I think the Camino, once you hit the meseta, all your masks are gone. Everything's fallen away. The essence of who you are is pretty much exposed. And I think it's at that moment you sort of have a choice, right? You can kind of quickly try to paper over those things, or you can go all in. And I think that was probably the biggest challenge for me, was to really just say, okay, I surrender to all of this. And what a payoff in the end. Yeah.
And I would imagine, Kelli, knowing you had a big career in the US, and to release that control and to surrender to this Camino after running very large departments, doing a really challenging job for many, many years.
Yeah.
This was a big deal for you to let go, I would imagine.
Yeah, and I think you're absolutely right. The letting go, the surrender, is now seems so easy because I've had to do it so many times.
Yeah.
But I didn't have muscle memory for surrender at that point.
Ooh.
So yeah. So, but it's amazing the gifts that come with doing that. We spend so much time, and I'm absolutely guilty of this, trying to control everything, because we believe that we know, if we do it, we know what the outcome is.
Yes.
And part of what the Camino teaches you is there's beauty in not knowing. And so that surrender is where that gift lies.
Wow. And you've certainly had to do that this year, right? There's been so many challenges with, trying to get all the approvals and working through the process. The government here takes it very seriously when you're wanting to own an albergue, and for good reason.
Yeah.
And you really had to jump through some hoops. And I think it was that willingness. I mean, I certainly saw this in you personally, and I think many of your readers have seen this in your blog, that you never really... you just kind of went with the flow, and I think use the lessons you've learned on the Camino to not give up, persevere.
Yeah, and also, it's sort of like learning how to float on your back when you're swimming.
Ooh.
Right? You can swim and swim and swim and swim and swim, and eventually you'll get tired and you'll sink to the bottom. But if you surrender and you just float on your back and you say, okay, today's been a rough day. We're just going to wait. We're going to wait and see what happens. And this year has been, you're exactly right, a lot of waiting and wait to see what happens.
Wait and see what happens. I mean, your book, your first Camino book was published.
Yeah.
You've been working on all this, and it has been a year of go, 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 and then I love this description of floating on your back.
Yeah.
I think you and I've talked a lot about how we were raised in the United States and how we both have been go-getters our whole life. And learning to float on our backs maybe wasn't something we were complimented for.
No.
Right?
No, I don't think, I think we're rewarded in the U.S. for striving.
Yes.
And striving needs to take the form of furious action. And I think if I've learned anything in Spain, it's taught me that sometimes inaction is the best action you can take.
Inaction is the best action. If that isn't true.
Yeah. And I really lamented, we were struggling with our permissions, which we've got all of them now. But in March and April, when things didn't get approved and we were really sort of disheartened a bit, I don't think I understood how time-consuming publishing a book was going to be, and it's ended up being a blessing that I didn't have to go out and make waffles and smoothies every morning for pilgrims. I got to stamp their passports, and I got to talk to them about the book, and that's a priceless gift.
Yeah, but everything just really works out, and I feel like that's something on the Camino, right? We worry about what should I pack. Make sure you don't forget something. All the things we think that we can plan for, and somehow it always works out.
Yeah, and I think it's funny. I had a friend who said we pack our fears, and I know that on my first Camino, and I'm sure you were the same. You don't know what's going to happen, so you worry about your gear.
Yeah.
That was the biggest thing. I worried about my gear, and I overpacked, and by Roncesvalles, I had to donate to that table that they have at the monastery, as did a million other people were doing the same thing. But I think that we pack our fears, and we do it not just on the Camino. We do it in so many other areas of our lives.
Right. Well, how we walk our Camino is how we live our lives, I think. And that's part of the transformation, because after you walk the Camino, I at least I can speak for myself, I've learned to live a little bit differently.
Yes.
Right? Okay, Kelli, so we're standing in one of my favorite spots in front of the cathedral, and that is where folks are taking their selfies or getting their portraits made. Super busy, and now here you stand, you're getting all this great feedback about the book. You're having people tell you how much it resonates, how much it's telling them to think.
Yeah.
Right? Because it challenges them as well.
Yeah.
Because the book might not go the way they expect. And so, this is spurring some conversation. What does it feel like right now?
I feel like it's just like walking into the square here. It's just the beginning.
Ooh, just the beginning.
Yeah. It's funny on the Camino, just like with any major project, but certainly publishing a book, you're heading toward a goal. You're just trying to get to the goal, and that's what you're focused on. And certainly I was focused on publishing this book. But now I realize that just like with the Camino, where the lessons often come after the Camino, and an opportunity to reflect, I feel the same way with this book. The lessons, the feedback from folks, they're getting things that I hadn't even intended, or something that really resonated with them that I hadn't seen before, and I just love that.
I can't imagine what that must feel like. That must feel so rewarding to think of all those long hours you were writing a book, all the work that went into publishing. That was no easy task.
No.
I mean, that was quite a challenge in itself. So I'm so glad. Now, you know, we just heard some cheering. Hopefully you guys can hear us. But if you look behind us, you can see there's pilgrims everywhere coming in. And I'm just going to let everybody see Kelli.
That's great.
But, you know, one of the things I was thinking about, Kelli, is, you know, what pilgrims might be walking in that have faced the same challenges as the characters in your book?
Yeah, you know, how many people in this square have suffered a grief and loss, or how many parents are struggling to reach a child that is lost. And I think about, you know, how many are single parents now due to a loss. So. Yeah, that's why I think I'm so excited when I come here, as I see Tess, I see Penn, I see Javier and Mateo, and even John. You know, folks who walk in here, often their spouse flies in from their home country to meet them and to be there to celebrate with them. And yeah, this square is filled with all the characters from my book.
Yeah, all the characters from the book, right? And I'm always touched because I look around the square and I think, you know, I don't know if this is their first Camino, their 10th, I don't know.
Yeah.
But sometimes I just want to walk up and say, watch out, you might end up living here, you know?
Exactly, because there's a lot of folks that walk multiple Caminos, 10, 20, 50. But I think that there's something that happens to us when we get here that we never shake. You know, it's like it's tattooed on our hearts. You know, yeah.
Literally, this Camino is tattooed on our hearts. And I think about all the possibility of everyone that we're looking at right here. They might be our next Camino author.
Yes.
The next Camino movie maker. They might go home and get engaged. They might go home and end a relationship that needs to be ended for whatever reason. But the possibilities are endless for everyone. The energy I can feel right now is pretty amazing. We're surrounded by pilgrims.
Yes. And I think also, you know, the positive energy because of the transformation that we will never really probably know about, but that we'll feel in the world. I think that's the beauty of this place.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
If only everyone could come walk a Camino. Okay, so one of the things, Kelli, you and I always joke about is that both of us experienced this in different areas of Spain. But people constantly telling us after we moved here, tranquilo, tranquilo.
Yes.
Talk to that a little bit. Why were we told that?
Well, tranquila means to kind of calm down, to be tranquil, basically. Yeah. And you know, I've lived here now going on 6 years. If I can't even believe it. It's almost
6 years.
It's almost 6 years.
Oh my gosh!
And the first 2 years, every single person I interacted with, including the woman at the grocery store, the veterinarian, anybody would tell me, "Tranquila, Kelli, tranquila." and it drove me insane.
Me too.
It drove me insane because I was like, "What are you talking about? I'm tranquil." But I don't think I really understood how not tranquil I was. I was living my life still as an American.
Yes.
Would live their life in Spain. And eventually, you know, it's exactly what we were talking about, surrendering.
Yes.
You eventually surrender to tranquila.
Yeah. So, you know, you're going to be going back to the U.S., doing some book tour, book signing kinds of activities. If somebody were to meet you that used to know you in your old corporate world, and how would this Kelli today be different than the Kelli 6 or 7 years ago before she discovered the Camino and then eventually moved to Spain?
Oh, my goodness. Well, first of all, I have a bigger smile, I think, than I had back then. But I think that they would be shocked at, you know, I'm still the same person that I was, that when you tell me no, I will find a way. But I go about it a little bit of a different way. I'm less of a bull in a china shop. So now I'm a little bit more laid back and a little bit more patient than I was before. And I'm happy about that. My blood pressure is really low, so my doctor's happier too.
Kelli, that is a beautiful answer, because, you know, I think you're showing me and showing all of your readers of your blog and your book that you don't have to be a bull in a china shop to get things done. Even though I think maybe we both came from a world socially conditioned, that's how we knew how to operate in the
Yes.
world. And then suddenly we end up in Spain, and I know I can remember being so angry waiting at the bank because nothing was going the way I thought it should be going here, and I was questioning everything, you know, and the friend that was with me is like, you know, if you don't learn how to calm down, if you can't be a little more tranquila, this is not going to work.
Yeah.
And even that made me angry. It made me... But now I sit here, and while I still have a way to go, it's different.
Yeah, it is different. And I think, too, you know, if you want to live in Spain, you need to embrace the lifestyle, because there's something to this place. You know, no one lives longer as a country than they live in Spain. And so it's got to be because their blood pressure is a lot lower than ours in America. So, yeah.
Very well said.
Okay, Kelly, so we are standing in front of one of the new signs that recently went up in Santiago. And you and I were just kind of chuckling a little bit to ourselves, because here's a little note about tranquility, which we were just talking about. But the thing I wanted to point out to everyone is this is a new program encouraging all of us that Santiago de Compostela is a collective heritage that we have the right to enjoy and the duty to look after.
So, Kelly, I wanted to talk for a few minutes out here about this sign, because you have talked a little bit in your blog about the importance of how we as pilgrims connect and interact with the people that are a part of the infrastructure that makes walking a pilgrimage possible. So I wonder if you could talk a little bit about some of the challenges you've seen, and, you know, like this poster back here. I think all along the Camino, we're trying to remind people of what we are getting the privilege to walk and what we still have the responsibility to take care of.
Yeah. I think, you know, the Junta de Galicia does a great job. The government of Galicia does a great job of funding garbage collection and all of that along the Camino, especially the stretch where Galicia begins and ends in Santiago. But I think that we all definitely have a responsibility, and some of the challenges that we have faced as a home, right? You know, our gates are on the Camino Francés, is really folks, you know, picking up after themselves. I think that's the biggest piece. We put our garbage cans outside our gate to make sure that there's no reason that you can't, you know, hit the garbage can. But also, I think, you know, being respectful of the folks who live along the Camino. I know that at times it can feel a little bit like, you know, it's your Camino, and it certainly is, but there's also folks who live and work and raise families along the Camino, and if we can be as respectful as possible to them, I think that just is a great reflection on keeping this spirit and this focus that Galicia has on the Camino alive.
Yeah, well said. And, you know, I think once you come to Santiago, of course, you're excited, right? You've made this big walk, no matter where you started. It is a time for celebration. And I think, you know, one of the things that the new mayor of Santiago is trying to talk about is, you know, tempering that celebration because, you know, people do live downtown, and, you know, sometimes we can get rather loud when we're celebrating. So just a reminder, we've had some pilgrims trying to climb the sides of the cathedral, camp in the plazas, and, you know, that's just not something we can do in this historic city. And so it's important to enjoy yourselves upon arrival, and certainly celebrate, because it's a big deal to walk a Camino.
Absolutely. And we love the singing, and we love the dancing and the camaraderie, but I think that one of the things we've got to remember is that this is also a living, working city, and there's folks here that support the vibrancy of Santiago, and, you know, every single day, even when your Camino is done, they're here 364 other days a year. So
that's right. Yeah.
And that's a wrap. Thanks for coming to Two Pilgrims Walking. It was a joy introducing you to Kelli Field. This is her new book, The Grief of Goodby. We'll be discussing it at our next book club meeting, and that meeting will be on Saturday, October 14th. We would love to see you there. All you have to do is check out our Facebook group, sign up for the newsletter, and you'll receive the link, and we will see you then. And I hope to see you back here soon. I'll be bringing some great news stories to you. Thanks for coming to the Camino Cafe Podcast.